All right, the latest, greatest college football conference preview is here, and so is DK Nation's Collin Sherwin. We have you here due to chase or fade the following as we take a sportsbook look at the SEC, the second best conference in college football after the AAC. Collin here. Can you tell I'm a UCF guy? All right, shocker, Bama minus 167 to win the conference. Again, chase or fade that they do just that. Just tell me why you're chasing it.
Okay. Well, Emerson, first of all, I went to USF, so this might not go well for both of us
Oh,
here.
no. Damn. I hate you already.
The war on I-4. That might be the best game in Florida this year, by the way. But I am not going to bet Bama at minus 167 here. And here's the reason. The Tide are 1/20th of returning talent in the country. There's only 130 teams. They're only bringing back 33% of their offense, which is 126th out of 130 teams. Mac Jones is gone. Devontae Smith is gone. Jalen Waddle's gone. Najee's gone. I mean, they lost so much. And the only really skill guy that they returned with stats is John Mechie. So they're going to have trouble there. I do think Bryce Young steps in for Mac Jones and does a great job. He's a Mater Dei grad, just like DJ Uiagalelei at Clemson. So I think there's plenty of talent there, but I just don't think there's enough experience to go all in at 167. Mm-hmm. This is going to be a more wide open SEC than we've seen. Part of that is the transfer portal. Part of that is kids chasing NIL dollars. I think we'll see some different things this year. And also the other thing, Alabama loses all this offense. They also lost Steve Sarkisian. So even with 77% of their defense back and all the 5 stars and all the talent, it might be a transition year. So at 167, I don't like it. Even money, I'll take Bama. I'll take Bama against the field, but not at 167.
Okay, yeah, some really good points made by you. So let's dive a little deeper and see what you think here. We know they're in the SEC West. We know their closest competition. It kind of feels like it's going to be Texas A&M, right? So the Aggies plus 500 to win that division. Chase or fade that A&M can kind of shock the world and take down Bama in the West. Like, is this a good bet here?
Honestly, I think the better bet is to actually head with LSU. I think A&M at this price, it's doable. They bring a lot of talent back, but they lose Kellen Mond, and I have a complete and utter faith in Jimbo Fisher's ability to screw it up late in the game. So the other problem with Texas A&M is that they're not bringing a lot of people back. They're 116th in returning talent. They're 120th on defense. The SEC's had a lot of turnover, but for these teams at the bottom floor of the turnover field, it's going to be tough. I think LSU's getting slept on at 650. They bring a ton back. They do play at Alabama this year, but they do get A&M at home, and those are going to be the 3 teams that are going to be in the mix for it. And Max Johnson, I think, steps in at quarterback and does a nice job. Max Johnson, who's son of Brad Johnson and whose mother played volleyball at the University of South Florida, alma mater, hail to thee. So, I'm going to go with at that price. I'm going to take LSU at 650 if anybody's going to challenge for the division. But again, I mean, you're going up against the 800-pound gorilla here. So put it up there. I think there's value, but you're probably not coming home with it.
Yeah, 3 different SEC champions here in the last 4 seasons. So maybe that's proof that this conference, which consistently produces, national champions here, is still wide open. Over on the east side of it, they don't have to worry as much about like the Crimson Tide really until they meet, in Atlanta later in the season. Georgia is a heavy favorite at minus 335 to win that division. So chase or fade that, it's Georgia's to lose.
It is Georgia's to lose, but only because of the schedule. So if we had schedule parity in the SEC East this year, I'd actually take Florida at plus 320. I think they return only 5 starters on each side of the ball, but there's plenty of depth. Dan Mullen has started to get his kids in. He's recruited a little bit better every single year that he's been there, and those kids are starting to get to the point where they're going to be able to get on the field. They're 12th on overall talent in the country. The problem is their normal crossover game is LSU. That's always a challenge. But now they get Alabama in week 3 at home as well. And that's just too much to handle. So now you would need to beat Georgia in Jacksonville, and then you would have to have Georgia lose another game for them to get over the hump. Mm. So if I'm doing it, I'm going with Florida. There's a lot of reasons to fade Georgia this year. JT Daniels is an injury risk. They have talent return issues. I think Daniels is a really talented quarterback when he's on the field. But I don't know if at this price, it's just too much to get over the hump. And then take Florida and Georgia and then throw everybody else out the window because I don't think anybody in the SEC can compete this year.
Yeah, Georgia still has one of the best running back rooms in the country as well. Yes. Back over just to Bama real quick. Win total set at 11.5. So chase or fade that, they hit the over here.
So one of my favorite bets for years was because they would set this line at 10.5, and I just go over Alabama. It was just like snap. Don't even think about it. They're not losing twice. Don't worry about it. This year, it's a little bit trickier. So they get Florida at week 3 on the road. That's going to be a little bit tricky. Miami to open, I think they'll be okay. But Florida in the swamp, and especially because that Miami game is in Atlanta, so it's a neutral field, which is basically going to be like an Alabama home game. You also got to worry about Texas A&M week 6, and then LSU. They do get LSU at home in week 10. So the game at Texas A&M in week 6, I think, is the key. This is a stay away from me. The price is even money if you want to do over and think they run out undefeated. But the under, you got to pay a little 125. That sounds about right to me. They're the favorite. They should be the favorite for a reason. They have more talent than everybody. They have the process. I can't wait to see the NIL deal that they signed with their kids. Is every car dealership for 3 states starts putting these kids in massive amounts of money to just increase what Alabama's Death Star is. But I'm not sure that this is at the right price. So for me, there's a bet that I always made at 10.5. I'm going to let it go at 11.5.
Yeah, man, that parking lot outside the stadium now is going to be loaded with some of the nicest cars like you've ever seen.
It's going to look like an NBA game. Guys are going to be walking in fly suits, Bentleys, everything. It's going to be unbelievable. I can't wait to see it. I am so excited to see what these players do this season. Derek King is going to make more money in college than he ever is in the pros, I think, this year.
Yeah, it's almost like Cam Newton did. All right, so finally, let's get your bold prediction for the SEC this season.
So I was at Game 5 of the Stanley Cup on Wednesday night. My beloved Tampa Bay Lightning took down the cup, and I was fortunate enough from a person who was on the ice who gave me a piece of the net.
Look at this thing. This is an exclusive, a Sweat exclusive.
I have a piece of the net from Game 5 of the Stanley Cup. This is normally the thread with which about 4 or 5 SEC coaches enter the season about to get fired. Every single year, you see such massive turnover. There were 4 coaches fired in the SEC last year. There will be no coaches fired. Every coach that starts 2021 will be the head coach to start the 2022 season. So there you go. There's my bold prediction. No SEC coaches get fired in the next 365 days.
That conference having patience with its head coaches? What are you talking about?
It seems crazy, but if you look at every individual case, the only guys that could be kind of on the bubble who aren't in year 1 or year 2 or like just mandatory keeps are Dan Mullen and Kirby Smart. They're not getting fired. So I think all 14 come back.